Carrie Barnes. I am the Building Managers International Tampa Bay Chapter Administrator, and I am here with Austin Clifford of Parking Lot Services. Parking Lot Services is one of our chapter sponsors and has been for the last 2 years. They've also been a member of BMI since the beginning when we reorganized in 2017. Austin, can you tell me a little bit about, with all this rain we've been having, what the communities can look forward to with parking lot issues from all this rainwater?
The first thing to be concerned about with rain is that anywhere where you have a small pothole forming, or maybe you have some asphalt that's wearing thin, usually at turns or stop signs in the community, those, with all the rain that we've had, you can expect those potholes to open up and get bigger and to become more of an issue, potential trip hazard, obviously potential damage to vehicles as well. So the first thing that is a concern with all the rain is that anywhere you have damaged asphalt could potentially turn into a pothole, or existing potholes will get bigger. And then kind of on the long-term concern with rain is that anywhere that water might be collecting and ponding, whether that be, say, maybe at a pool house parking lot or a community event center parking lot, or even in roadways where there's any time that you have water that's not draining, that is going to adversely affect the asphalt there by softening it. And you can expect that potholes will form there too. So those are the concerns with the rain this time of year, is to get the water to drain so that potholes don't get worse or form in the first place.
And I imagine it's so hot in Florida that the asphalt is already susceptible to being softer because of the heat. Would you say that?
Yes, especially
no?
New asphalt. If you have any associations that have had recent overlays, the heat will continue to keep that asphalt soft throughout the summer. But once you get past that 1 year mark with the asphalt, you know, the summer heat really won't soften it up too much anymore. And especially if you've had a seal coat put on it, as well, as we recommend all new asphalt be seal coated at the 1 year point. That will help protect it from the heat and the Florida summers.
You do like a repave, which is, I guess sometimes that's what you guys, don't they call it like a mill? What do they call that? A mill?
There's 3 different types of paving. There's an overlay, where we put a new layer of asphalt over the existing layer or layers of asphalt, and that is the least expensive road. And it is probably what we do most of, or I should say it is what we do most of. And that works just fine for probably 70% of the association situations that we see. The next step up would be the Millen Overlay, and that's where we come through and we remove a specified depth of existing asphalt, haul it off site. It's actually recycled, and then we come in and put a new layer of asphalt over what was not milled off. And that is more expensive, but that's going to give you more life expectancy of the asphalt parking lot than a simple overlay. And then the last thing that we do, and it is the most expensive, and it is not for every situation, is the mix and mill, and then we overlay. And that's where we tear into the base below the asphalt layers, and we mix that all up and regrade the parking lot. And we use that primarily for parking lots that have very bad drainage issues, where we just cannot get the water to flow to the drains because of the existing elevations of the parking lot. So when we come in and do the mix and mill, we actually change the elevations of the parking lot to get what we call positive flow of water away from those ponding areas. So those 3.
So how many feet or inches, not feet, but how many inches do you go when you do that?
We usually go the full depth of the base material underneath the asphalt, and that's generally about we're going in about 7 to 8 inches deep.
Wow, that's a lot. So when you do just the mill and the overlay, how deep are you going? Are you going into any of the underlying there, or no?
We usually take off 1.5 to 2 inches of the asphalt. So we do not go into the base material below the asphalt. If we start running into base, we just skim right off over the top of it. Oftentimes, if you have really complicated drainage issues, the only way to really address that and to fix that is going to be the mix and mill.
When someone is looking at a proposal for an asphalt job, and let's say that it's for a parking lot that has drainage issues, because that's kind of what we're focusing on right now because of all the rain that we've been having. Are there key points that you want them to, that they should be aware of, to look at, to make sure, okay, this is where, if you're going to do a couple of proposals, make sure you're apples to apples. Everybody always says that, but in asphalt, what should they look for so that they can properly compare those bids?
Right. I mean, most overlays, which was the first thing we spoke about a moment ago, which is usually the least expensive of the options. Most of the overlays, if you read the proposal or the contract of the vendor, it's going to have some wordage in there saying that they cannot guarantee drainage due to existing conditions. And there's truth to that, because when you just do the overlay, you can tweak some things and you can try, but at the end of the day, very few contractors are going to be able to guarantee that they're going to improve drainage issues that you have on site. Sometimes even an overlay can make drainage issues worse, because now that additional layer of asphalt, because you didn't remove any, can do wonky things and make drainage issues shift around or even be worse. If there is an area that an association has a drainage issue, I would make certain that there's verbiage in the contract, in the proposal saying, by this area, the southwest corner of building 4, or whatever the case may be, I would make sure that there's language in there saying, drainage issues will be addressed and corrected for the contract.
Yeah, and that's not something that they should expect you guys to go back and fix. If you've given them a proposal and said, we know you have a problem here with puddling water, this is what we recommend, here are your options, and they choose the lesser of the options, do you guys have a disclaimer or something in there that says, look, if this doesn't fix the issue, this is what you chose. We don't recommend you do this now. We recommend you do the more expensive thing because of the puddling. How does that work exactly? Because I'm sure a lot of people come back and blame you guys, and you're like, wait a minute, we told you, you could have done this or that, and you wouldn't have had this issue.
Yeah, Carrie, you hit the nail on the head. So if I'm looking at an association that does have some drainage issues, I will list at least 2 options to address those drainage issues. And, then I put the ball in their court saying, these are your 2 options. These are your 3 options. I recommend the mix and mill. I do not recommend just the least expensive overlay, because it's not going to fix your drainage problems. And then at that point, I guess it's up to the board to decide if they want to spend the money on fixing it correctly or just putting the Band-Aid overlay over it. And I would be, and that was to circle back to comparing apples and apples, if that repair, the more expensive repair that's going to affect and fix the drainage issue, if it's not listed and somebody is just saying we can just do this overlay and fix your problem, I would be a little bit suspect of that.
Right, and there's a lot of people that'll come in and say that they'll underbid, or I should say, when the community association board members should be cautious when somebody's underbidding. If their prices are a lot less than their competitors, there's usually a reason why, and that has to do with the work involved, the time involved. I know you guys have mobilization fees, you have labor work, you have material costs, and then you put into the mix that if they're not doing the exact same thing that you're doing, of course they're going to be less expensive if they're doing a lot less, right?
Absolutely, yes, correct. Everything you said is spot on.
Sure. Can you tell me the process when you guys go in to present your proposals to the board? What do you go over? What do you discuss? That, if someone else comes in and doesn't do this or that, when they present a proposal, what should the board be wary of?
To kind of circle back to the apples and apples discussion, the 2 main ones are the total area to be worked on or to be overlaid or to have asphalt. So make sure that this total square feet, the total square yards are within close proximity to each other if you're comparing different proposals or different bids. And I present that to the board. I make it known that, this is what I've measured. This is your total area. And I would make certain that everybody that you're considering are, in the same ballpark as far as total area. And then another one that I like to discuss with boards, another topic on the proposal is the depth of asphalt to be installed. Our proposals list the compressed depth of asphalt. Some folks, they'll say they're going to put down 2 inches of asphalt, but after they put the steel wheel, roller on it, that asphalt actually compresses down to 1.5 inches. So, let's make sure, if I was on a board, what is our final finished product? What would the final depth of that new asphalt be? The compressed depth, not the depth that's coming out of the paver.
That's really good, because I think there are a lot of people that are not aware of that.
It opens the door for some misrepresentation of the final product. That would be the biggest thing I would look at, is the final compressed depth. What is that? And that's where you're really going to be comparing apples and apples versus apples and oranges. The final compressed depth and the total area of the overlay, or the area to be worked on, the total square footage.
Yeah, I think it's just important. And unfortunately, we can't all be experts in each different type of project. God knows I don't know much about what you guys do, and I'm sure there's board members that would say the same. And we really appreciate you giving the time to come in and explain this. Well, did you have any closing comments that you would like to make, or anything you want to add to the discussion before we close out?
I don't think so. I would just say, make sure all your drains are cleared, and to try your best to get all the water off of your asphalt parking lots. Otherwise, you're going to be fixing potholes.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And again, we're going to put Austin's information at the end of this video, so you'll be able to contact them and go into more discussion specifically about what you guys are dealing with at your communities. Thank you so much for your time, Austin.
No problem. My pleasure.